So I got this email informing me that TC Electronic launched the System 6000 native bundle. If you don't know about the TC Electronic System 6000, in short, this is one of the best mastering systems that exist on the market. System 6000 is used in audio mastering, in audio production, but also in the movie industry, as it has some of the highest quality reverbs and other superb audio processors on the market. So here are some of the announced plugins in the bundle. But today I'm going to test how the new MD3 native plugin compares with the MD3 version from the TC Electronic PowerCore 6000. If you don't know about the TC Electronics PowerCore 6000, this is a discontinued platform that offered audio engineers the possibility to have different DSP processors and also some of the System 6000 processors like VSS3, the MD3 bundle and so on. I haven't used my PowerCore for more than 10 years now, and the main reason I don't upgrade the system on my MacBook Pro is for keeping the PowerCore alive as long as possible. Why? Mainly because of the reverbs, the multiband compressors, its brick wall and other awesome audio processors that I use in my sessions. And here is some information on the new MD3 plugin, which uses a multi-band, high-resolution floating point structure and features high-definition 4-band EQ, 3-band compressor expander, soft clipping and newly designed transparent peak/true peak limiter. Before we continue with the MD3 comparison, if you want to discover how to improve your mixes and masters in less than 10 minutes, check the description below and get the cheat sheet that will help you with that. While you do that, I'll play some awesome intro. Okay, so let's try the new MD3 native bundle. It says here we can do this for 14 days. Let's copy the license on the iLok and also let's install it because this will help with our comparison. In case you want more information on the plugin itself, check out the manual. As a side note, TC Electronic discontinued the support for the PowerCore platform a couple of years ago, but people continued to use it for plugins like MD3, and we had to find out some ways that we could continue to do it in the new operation systems. Another side note, the PowerCore platform is like the WAD system, which has DSPs that you can use for your DSP plugins. So the bottom line is that engineers around the world continue to use the TC Electronic PowerCore even if it is not officially supported anymore. In my case, I had to use a combination of 32 lives and the Blue Cats patchwork in order to make the MD3 PowerCore version to work. So here's how the PowerCore MD3 interface looks, and this is the new native MD3 interface. At a first glance you can see that the layout is almost the same, but more colorful in the case of the native plugin. Also, in the new version they included the normalizing section in the main section. Next, we have the EQ section with 4 bands like in the PowerCore version. The next section is the expander section, and as I mentioned, the normalizer section is now in the main section of the new plugin. Again, we have almost the same settings in both plugins. Then we have the multiband compression section, where we can affect up to 3 bands. And you can see that they ported the settings exactly like in the PowerCore version of the MD3. Unfortunately, I don't have a System 6000 to confirm that they have the same settings also. One day, Adrian. Okay, let's move on. So here is the output section where you have some settings like soft clip, the limiter threshold, and here is something new. Here you can choose between 2 limiter modes, true peak and sample. Leave this setting on true peak, especially if you work with hot levels. So, the two plugins are somehow similar in the layout, but with different interfaces. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is the moment when we should address the main question. How do they actually sound? Well, let's find out. But before we do that, I should address something. While I'll try to match the volume between the plugins, chances are that you won't hear the subtle differences between the two, mainly because of the YouTube audio compression. However, if you want to listen to the 2-wave audio examples, comment below and I'll give you a link. By the way, have you subscribed yet? Please help me grow this channel so that we can grow together. Thank you in advance. And now let's get back to our business. My goal is to compress at least 1 dB in the low range to hear how both plugins affect the material. Now let's do the same thing with the native MD3. But first, let's select the same preset as in the Power MD3 case. As a side note, I already done this test without any preset, and I also checked the presets and they have the same values. In short, I have done my homework. Okay, let's continue. You can see that even at the same values, the native MD3 compresses less, so I'll have to adjust the compressor threshold a bit more. Now let's adjust the makeup gain because the new MD3 sounds louder as I increased the compressor threshold. I need this in order to have the same compression going on as in the case of the PowerCore version. So after almost the same compression going on and after I adjusted the volume between the two versions, let's actually listen to how they sound. But before we do that, I want to make a disclaimer. What I'll say is only my opinion. You should listen and test for yourself. And if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. In this video, I'm showing only my opinion, nothing more. So my first impression is that MD3 from PowerCore preserves the transients better and make them snappier. Let's listen again. If you listen to the kick, the native version is hitting the snap of the kick at some point. Also, the elements of the mix are more stable in the PowerCore version. Okay, so let's listen to another section. As this section has more elements, I feel that the MD3 from PowerCore is more stable, but also it keeps the elements in their place. In other words, the PowerCore version keeps the separation between the elements intact, also preserving the 3D space of the mix. To my ears, the native version takes out some of that 3D space from the mix. Okay, now listen to the kick. The native version eats some of its snap and stability. So this is what I got so far. The two plugins sound about 90% similar, but the PowerCore version preserves the 3D space, transparency and transients better. It also sounds a bit more present and brighter for some reason. Now let's test the limiter. Let's say we want for this mix a loudness of about -10 LUFS. Now, I know what I'm about to do is not mastering, I just want to test how the two versions sound when the limiter is applied. So, let's add some makeup gain in the compression section. Let's set the limiter threshold to about -1 dB, and the ceiling is still at -0.1 dB. And this time, the true peaks hit about -0.3 dBs. Cool, so now let's do the same thing on the native version, and then adjust the volume. And then listen. So there you have it. This is my comparison between the native MD3 and the PowerCore version. As a side note, this session is at a 48 kHz sample rate, but I also experimented in a 96 kHz session. And if you are wondering if they null, they don't. They sound different. And now let's answer the main question. Does the new native MD3 sound like the PowerCore version? Before I'll tell you my opinion, smash the subscribe button and ask in the comments your questions related to this topic or mastering in general. So, do these plugins sound similar? No, they don't. While the new version shares some sonic characteristics as the PowerCore version, the MD3 from PowerCore gives you the impression that you pass the mix through a high-quality hardware compressor, while it preserves the 3D space and the separation between the elements of the mix, the transients, and overall, to my ears, it just sounds better. Again, this is my opinion and this may sound bold, but from what I tried so far in the native plugin world, nothing beats the TC Electronic MD3 PowerCore version. However, speaking about multiband processors, I will mention the DIN1 from Leapwing Audio, which is an awesome multiband processor that I also use for mastering. And at this point, I'm wondering if the new native MD4 HD from TC Electronic sounds better than the MD3 PowerCore version. Maybe I should test it. Anyway, this is my review on the TC Electronics native MD3. And my final say at this point is that the native MD3 from TC Electronic is one of the best native plugins I tested and used so far, but it doesn't beat its older brother, the MD3 from TC Electronic PowerCore 6000. If you liked this review, please help me grow this channel by subscribing. And of course, if you want to improve your mixes and masters in the next 10 minutes, download your free cheat sheet and you'll be well on your way. And one last thing, if you want to learn mastering, check out my Pro Audio Mastering program. I'll leave the link below. Until next time, stay cool and make great music.